I make a motion that we reconvene. First off, I make a motion we come out of closed session and reconvene.
That's Mr. Art, Mr. Moan. All in favor, raise your hand, please. It's unanimous. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I ask that I be able to be excused.
At this point?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Art. You want that as a formal vote, or you just want to
That'd be
leave?
nice, but I mean...
Is there a motion to excuse Mr. Art?
Motion to excuse Mr.
Second. Mr. Moan, all in favor? That's officially unanimous.
Listen, I stayed to midnight for you the other night. Don't give me that. All right, thank you.
Pastor Wright, would you lead us in the invocation, please?
Let us pray. Almost wise and knowing God, we come to you this afternoon, asking you to give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Order our steps. Give us the insight that we need as we go forward, take this great city to the next level of its great potential. Bless our mayor, the city council, the staff, and every citizen that's connected with the prosperity and growth of this great city. We humbly ask you in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. If we all rise for Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we approve the agenda, I would like to make an announcement. Today is Mr. Voorhees' birthday.
We're going to pass the budget on your
So you get the opportunity to wish him happy birthday, please do so. Item 4.0 is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
That's Mr. Hurst and Mr. Wright. All in favor, please raise your hand, please. That's unanimous. We'll turn the discussion over. 5.01. Oh, wait. Yep, 5.01 is the general fund overview. Give that to birthday boy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. This, we hope, will be the opportunity for council members to ask questions about departments and the support services portfolio and the revenue assumptions made. We're going to make this as painless as possible, short and sweet. Ms. Broyles will give us a revenue overview, and then we'll take questions along that, and then we'll go into the departmental piece. We're going to have one slide per department, just 60 seconds, and then you all let us know what issues you want us to discuss or questions you have. Once we finish with the support services, we'll be done for the evening, and we'll repeat that with operations and community investment next Wednesday. So that's it, and hopefully it'll be pretty short. So,
no movies or videos tonight?
if you'd like for me to replay the 15-minute video.
That was a great video.
Yeah, it was.
It is available on the website now.
Oh, is it on Facebook? I got to share it on the Facebook.
It must be very popular now.
Share it on Facebook. Yeah, I want it on Facebook.
You got 700 views there.
700?
It's on Facebook.
Wow.
I did 600 of them.
But I did the other 100.
Take 100.
Yeah,
Okay, so
compare-
the general,
I was thinking about it.
the general fund revenue overview. This is just a very summarized table. We're looking at millions of dollars, obviously. And if you're interested in additional details as we go along, the more detailed table is on page D2 in your budget binders. And then if you...
Finish your sentence. I just raised my hand. This is whenever, but real quick, fund balance puts us at what percentage?
12.9.
12.9. Very good. Thank you.
If you're interested in more details on the revenue assumptions behind all the numbers, that's in your book beginning on page J9. So here we're comparing, first I'd like to just quickly look at FY15, what we're projecting for the year end versus the original budget. And if you exclude the fund balance appropriation, our actual revenues and other financing sources are about $5.9 million higher than the original budget. $2.2 million of that 5.9 is for a financing that we had originally intended to do at the end of FY14 that got delayed until FY15. There's an additional $2.1 million in sales tax distributions compared to what we originally anticipated in the original budget, and our utility tax distribution we're expecting to be $1.7 million higher. So that's what's comprising the large contributors to the variance between our year-end projection and the original budget. Now, I don't know if I need to go over what may fall in each of these categories. I know there were questions maybe about the intergovernmental. That's primarily sales taxes, utility taxes, and power bill distributions from the state, and then also our federal and state grants would be in that category as well. I think the rest, you've been through this show before, and you know, so if I skip over something and you'd like more information, just let me know. So our recommended budget, overall, we're expecting to be 2.8% higher than the original budget for this year. And you can see the variances in each of the categories. Other taxes are down 45%. That's where our privilege license tax revenues were. So that explains that variance right there. I'm going to go ahead and move ahead to property taxes.
So he was saying something about ad valorem taxes on the first time. That was an increase of something. We got 6.8. I think what y'all originally gave us was 6.7.
Yes, 67.6 million versus 68.3 is what we're projecting. And our next slide, we're going to go into details on that very line.
Okay.
We'll talk about what's making up that increase.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was my calculator went off. I didn't kind of round it a little bit. I got 6.5. You got 6.1% change in the budget.
On this slide, sir?
Yeah, you're probably right. That's good.
Okay. Okay, so our ad valorem property taxes, you've already heard the tax rate is recommended to remain at 48.6 cents. For our current year taxes, we're expecting 67.3 million versus our original budget of 66.5. Primarily, that is related to, I think 2/3 of our increase there is related to motor vehicle taxes. And that's, we've transitioned, this is the first full fiscal year with the Tag and Tax Together program where the DMV is collecting motor vehicle taxes. So that's just been a very difficult revenue to project with that transition. But what's happening is we're seeing, of course, much better collections in the first year that the tax is assessed. So that's the major difference there.
So that put us over the projection.
Yeah, yes, sir. So for
Yeah,
fiscal
they
year,
got more money down there.
pardon me?
They got more money.
Yes, we did.
DMV.
Yep.
Stay 2 or 3.
So for fiscal year 2016, we're expecting 67.7 million for about a 0.5% increase. Based on our levy information that we received from the county, we're expecting about 0.3% growth in real and personal property taxes. And then we've estimated a 3% increase for motor vehicle taxes. It's been difficult to tell as we transition from our old collection system to the new DMV collection, how much of the increase is related to just better collection rate versus how much is economic growth in the tax base for motor vehicles. So traditionally, when we have an average economy, we usually see about 3% growth for motor vehicles, so that's how we've projected for the coming
And we
year.
really won't have real figures until we're a year into that new tax collection
Right.
program, right?
Yeah, we haven't
When will that
really.
transition? How long?
It began to transition in September
Okay,
of
so-
2013. So it kind of trickled in for a few months, so we're just now getting to the point where we have month-to-month comparisons that we'll be able to see. And then because of the increased collection of the motor vehicle taxes in the year in which the taxes are assessed, our prior year tax revenues and penalties are declining. But that's a good thing. We're getting the taxes that are being assessed, so that's a good thing. Our privilege licenses, our year-end projection is about $930,000. That's down from the about $1.1 million that we had in FY14, and that is due to the statute changes as well. We used to be able to collect privilege licenses on contractors who did business in the city, but did not have a location here. That changed last July, and we've seen a significant decline in our privilege licenses, particularly with our building trades.
It's crazy. That's a brick and mortar, but
Right. So we saw a slight decline this year, and then next year it goes all the way down to about $8,500 because the only fees in that category that will remain are the beer and wine licenses, and then there's solicitor and peddler permits and a few regulatory licenses, not much at all left.
Peddler being a panhandler. I'm just kidding.
So our sales taxes, we went over a lot of information about this at the strategic planning retreat. But just quickly, we develop our sales tax projections based on guidance that the League of Municipalities puts out. We also compare our collections from taxes that are generated based on our location. This is the point of distribution taxes to the point per capita taxes that are based on total statewide sales. Through January, we were lagging a little bit behind the statewide per capita distributions, but not much, and they were both going like gangbusters. Through, through the January sales, which is what we currently have, statewide sales were 12.5% above the same period last year, and our local per capita, our local point of delivery taxes are about 11.2% ahead. Now, part of that may be attributed, we've also noticed that the refunds of those taxes are way down compared to prior year, so some of that overage may be attributed to just delays in organizations filing for their sales and use tax refunds, but we are anticipating that we'll see some tempering of that, but that will still end up overall about 5.8% ahead of what we had budgeted for sales tax.
I don't remember why is it so much projected, so much less on natural gas? Did they take some of that away from it? What?
No, as the price of natural gas changes, so do the tax revenues that they generate. That's part of it, and it also is based on usage as well. And just quickly to wrap up on sales taxes, we've projected next year to have 4% growth in sales tax revenues. So that will get us to $39 million. And from that $39 million, we're in the third year of the sales tax agreement with the county and the other municipalities, and we would be projected to remit about $7.2 million of that $39 million to the county and the other municipalities. Any questions on sales taxes before we move on?
That's an important piece to
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
We've got to deal with that issue
Okay.
before the end of the year. It's the last year of the three.
So, Mr. Crisp had an interest here in utility tax distributions. Last July 1st, the utility taxes for natural gas and electric sales transitioned from basically a franchise tax to part of the general sales tax. So now the state collects the tax and then they distribute it to all the municipalities statewide. The distribution basis, the first thing that they do is distribute to each municipality the amount that they received in fiscal year 14. That's the base year. And then any revenues that are available beyond that base year total for all of the municipalities, it's distributed based on your ad valorem levy. So for us, our share of the FY14 franchise taxes is higher than what our share is of the ad valorem tax base. So we will be getting, as those revenues grow, we get a smaller piece of that growth compared to what we were getting in FY14.
So that's bad news, right?
Well, there's still growth. We're getting a lot more revenue, but over time, we won't get the same share of that total pool of revenues. So we're projecting our total for the current fiscal year to be $12.8 million versus our original budget of $11.2. So very good news there. And for next year, we're projecting it to be relatively unchanged. There's an increase projected for electric sales, but what we've seen over time is that telecommunication revenues and video programming revenues are declining over time because of the way people are accessing their entertainment. As you do things online, you're not paying the cable company, which is where we're collecting these revenues.
Didn't make enough.
So functional revenues, we mentioned in the budget message, there are some fee adjustments for engineering, for development plan reviews and infrastructure permits, and then for right-of-way excavation permits and degradation fees, and then also for street paving assessments. Those revenue changes are for the fee schedule. That begins on page K of your budget document. So that's there. So overall, for our functional revenues, which would include things like building permits and inspections and parks and recreation participant fees, all of those type things where people are paying for a particular program, we're projected to be 7.8% below the original budget. That primarily is reflective of declining building permits and inspection revenues. What we're projecting for FY16 is that we'll rebound a little bit and come back up to where we were originally budgeted for FY15. Another thing that's in there for functional revenues is our lease revenues from Festival Park Plaza. So we had a major tenant that moved in this year, didn't start paying us any rent, but that will be reflected in the new year, and that's part of what's helping to rebound this category of revenues. So intra-fund transfers, of course, the large transfer there is from the electric fund to the general fund, and we have the budget projected based on the proposed charter change to 5.2% of the most recent audited retail sales totals. So that would be $9.5 million for FY16. The other transfers there's just a small transfer from the downtown district to the general fund to help pay debt service for the parking deck. And then there's another small transfer from the Lake Valley Drive Municipal Service District to the general fund to help pay an inter-fund loan. Our capital lease proceeds, we're projecting to finance $1.9 million in vehicles and equipment next year. And then we get down to the last line of our revenue table, fund balance. We're projecting $6.9 million in fund balance appropriation for FY16. $1.2 million of that is from the fund balance that's restricted for the county parks and recreation district. It's not that their current revenues are not sufficient to support their current operations, but it's been requested that the county is going to retain $1.5 million of those recreation district tax proceeds at the county so that they can do some planned park improvements and add some new parks at the county. So part of the agreement is those types of expenditures are done by the county so that they can account for it. So that's the reason for that fund balance appropriation. We have $2.2 million of fund balance that's set aside for our capital funding plan. That's where basically we plan for it in the through the ITP and the CIP, and some of that is for debt service payments, and most of it is to cash fund some of those projects. Then we have from within from the general fund, $2.5 million for capital improvement and information technology projects. A large piece of that would be the replacement of the SCBAs for the fire department. Those are being paid for in general fund balance. And then we've got a total of $1 million in other non-recurring expenditures for things such as the bond referendum and the education campaign, should you move in that direction, the economic development plan for the EBD department, the strategic plan, and then some other plans there as well. So, who asked about the fund balance? Mr. McDougall? No. Mr.
I have about
Burris?
3 questions over here about it, but I think you
Okay.
kind of helped me a little bit.
So we expect to end fiscal year 2016 with about $20.1 million of unassigned fund balance for the general fund, which equates to 12.9% of the FY16 operating budget for the general fund. your council policy is to have a minimum of 10%, and our goal has always been to be at 12. So I know I went through that quickly, so if anybody has any questions.
I'm eating, I can't get you right now.
I'm sorry?
I'm eating, I get you later.
Okay. So revenue highlights from other funds, from the general fund, the municipal service districts, the property tax rates, for the downtown tax district, or I may say CBTD, that's what I mean, remains unchanged at 10 cents per hundred. And for the Lake Valley Drive Municipal Service District, the current rate is 24.5 cents. The proposed rate for next year is 33.6 cents. And what that is reflective of is the property valuation appeal that the property owners did. There was a significant decline in the taxable value of that property. The district was set up so that it could have basically a loan, a low-interest loan to finance drainage improvements in the district. And so that, to facilitate paying that loan back over the loan period, which is I think 6 years remaining, the rate would have to go back up to 33.6 cents, which is where it was year before last, I believe, pretty
That
close to
loan
that.
was, if I, am I correct, was that loan $500,000?
It was $500,000.
And on that loan, did it come out of the revolving dam loan?
It did. It did. Yep.
Years ago. That's, I'm gonna do, we've had that for 5, 6 years. When I first came on council, no one's ever used it. Why don't we free that money up? That's extra, it's more than $500,000 because they've been paying for 4 years, but in 6 more years. So you got $500,000 just sitting there that no one's ever requested to use, or revolving dam, piece of.
I remember.
Reconda.
Yeah, that's the one I recall that was in the works, and I don't know what is
Well,
the
I
status
can
of
tell
that
you,
now.
if I may, one of the reasons we held that was because we offered the opportunity for Reconda to borrow that money.
Right.
And they've never given us an answer on that, okay? But that's why it was kind of set aside.
Yeah, that was 2008 or 2009.
Didn't we approve something for a road over there that I've never seen?
We're working on that too. There's some glitches there, but we'll talk about it another time. The owner of the property wouldn't want to do the road, is making some unreasonable demands. That's simply stated, he wants us to pour concrete and plant trees now when we don't know where the stub outs might be. And that doesn't make any sense, does it? To tear it up later. So it would be a waste of money.
I would note that just in the past week or two, there have been 2 different newspaper articles of dam issues, without an N on the end, just dam issues. One of them I don't think was in the city, but one of them I think is in the city.
Country Club Hills.
Yeah, so it's a bit puzzling to me that we have so many communities that have these earthen dams and haven't been collecting a maintenance fee and are gonna get whacked with some kind of dam maintenance problem. And so, you know, I think that the city had good foresight to create a financing vehicle to help folks, but they're gonna have to face the fact that this work is going to have to get done, and it's not the city's responsibility to pay for it, but they're going to have to do something, and we do have this way to help them and get the assessment done so that you can avoid the sort of neighbor having to sue neighbor problem, which is really pending in a lot of communities.
And people that, in that subdivision, like the Reconda, those people on the lake, they wanted the city, but everybody else like this, hey, you didn't let us on that property for all these years, you didn't let us kids fish out there, so no, we're not gonna be part of an assessment to help your little 7 properties with lakefront view none of us have, so, that's all internal neighborhood crap, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I'm just surprised, you know, here we are, 7 years later.
The dam
no
is
one
there,
even
but
asked
our
for it.
responsibility is to see that that community does not become landlocked, can't get out. And that's why we want to build the alternate route in there. And then they can worry about the dam Medina. Okay?
Put a culvert in there and let it go. You don't have a lot.
Back to the budget.
Back to the budget.
It's the worst time of the year for us, this budget.
The stormwater fund, the monthly fee is $3.50 currently, and it's proposed to go to $3.75 per month. This is in line with the multi-year plan that was discussed last year with the budget. That $3 a year produces about $493,000 per year to help fund additional drainage improvements and permit requirements. And then part of that multi-year plan is 3 additional 25% increases in 17, 18, and 19. And that's consistent with the guidance provided that you adopted with the budget guidance. The Environmental Services Fund, there's a proposed increase of $4 per year.
I object. I know y'all are going to overrule that, but seriously. Go ahead, Tracy.
Okay, so it's a $4 increase, so the fee would go from $40 to $44 per year. That will generate about $241,000 for the Environmental Services Fund. The fee then is just around $367 per month. And the increase in that fee helps to offset the subsidy from the general fund. And if that fee provides your contributions for recycling, yard waste, the bulky item collection, and the containerized leaf collection. Those are the services that are housed within the Environmental Services Fund and what that fee supports.
And how much is that?
It's about $367 per month. Pardon me?
Increase.
The increase?
And you gave us that on the other fund.
$4 divided by 12.
$4 a year.
Yeah.
So $4 a month.
I done did the math, but I don't remember what it was. I think the two combined were like 58 cents.
That's right.
And you gave it on the last fund, so I figured you would do, be consistent. Go back a little bit. You said the other one was 25 cents.
33 cents.
33 cents?
Yeah.
That'd be 58? That's right.
$7 a year.
Yeah, when people argue with me in a community watch about it, I say, listen, it's 58 cents a month. And they go, oh, that's all?
And this information here for the transit fund is new information that is not reflected in your budget books because we just found out about it today. So the proposed fee schedule that shows changes in the back of the book does not reflect this. Currently, the fee schedule allows for reduced price day passes to be sold for the sobriety court program. So rather than the $3 per day for the day pass, it's a quarter per pass. And there was recently contact from the court system to the city to request for that, for that 25% fee to be made available for use for the Veterans Court program and other court programs.
So you're saying that they will be able to buy, if we approve the budget,
Yes,
a
through the
bus
court
pass
system.
for 25 cents as opposed to $3?
Yes, the regular price for a day pass is $3, and this program is 25 cents per day for the day pass.
After we put this together, we had mayor had a conversation with Judge Oliveira. He has a preference that we authorize monthly passes instead of day passes. So he has requested 5 to 7 monthly passes. Those monthly passes would also be at 25 cents. I think the FACT committee discussed this.
Actually, decided on 50%.
And the FACT committee recommends a 50% reduction in the cost. So we just, whenever council wants to go on this, we have an opportunity to put this into the budget.
What are you saying, Jeffrey? You talking about $1.50, rather?
50% of the monthly pass, which I think is $40.
Oh, the monthly pass. 50% of the monthly pass.
25 cents covers printing costs, but this is a much bigger
So the
deal.
monthly pass would be $1 a day, basically, as opposed to 25 cents a day?
$1 a quarter for a daily pass. A monthly pass is $40.
So that's about $20.
So we're recommending
$20 or about $1 a day.
Instead of 25, where did 25 cents come from? Judge Oliver?
No, 25 cents is what we've been doing for the sobriety court already. That was approved by council a couple of months ago, so it's 25 cents.
We approved that a month ago?
A couple of months ago, actually.
Was I asleep at the wheel?
Yeah, it was a.
You remember that?
It came to council recently. It was at the same time the after-school program passed.
All right, I do remember that.
Yeah, we did the school program passes, we were trying to pass this for after school for athletics.
Oh, okay,
And we did this one at the
okay.
same time, so it's all part of that same
Okay,
presentation.
you're right.
So it's 25 cents per day, thank you, Mayor, that's a good way to look at it. The monthly pass would be around $20 if you went with the recommendation from the fact committee, so that's actually about 75 cents.
Yeah, 67.
67 cents, good job. 67 cents per day. Or, you know, the one thing that the Veterans Court could also do is multiple day passes if they want to cover that day. So whatever way the council wants to go.
Judge Oliveira, dealing with veterans, believes that it's hard for them to schedule something at the VA hospital and do that on a daily pass. So they need multiple daily passes, thinking it would be easier to keep up with a monthly pass than it would 15 daily passes.
Then Judge Steele, if I may, decided he'd like to go court system wide with it. And so that's where the 50% came up on.
Court system wide?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of the challenge here is that as we started with the sobriety court, and then with the Veterans Court, and there are other courts, special courts, and
Domestic violence court?
so we would recommend that you have a policy that applies to the courts generally, so that we don't have a system where we kind of have to keep coming back and doing this over and over.
And again, Judge Oliveira, sees 10 or 12 people a day in his courtroom,
Right.
whereas Judge Steele may see 200 a day. So his needs are a little unique.
But,
There'd be fewer excuses of people failing to show. They now have ease of opportunity.
what are you telling me? A guy that's accused of domestic violence, you want to give him a free ride to the courthouse?
No, 50% right.
Huh? Okay, we gotta talk about that. I hear you, but a guy accused of armed robbery, we want to give him a ride to the
He'd
courthouse.
probably be in jail.
Huh? No, he'd be out on bond, he may have. Okay, we gotta come back to that. I like this though, this sobriety court thing. But court-wide, wow. Why don't the county just buy some buses and ride around and pick up these people, bring them to the courthouse? Okay, we'll talk about that as
Yes,
well.
part of the change that was recommended was for a maximum, for the day passes, a maximum of 500 reduced price day passes per month for the court system. That's part of what the initial recommendation was. So I guess what we'll need from council is direction as to how you want to see that structured, so that when we bring you the fee schedule for adoption with the budget on June 8th, we can set it up the way that you all would like to see that.
You know, it's almost as if you do that, kind of building it in to make somebody want to commit a crime to get it.
To ride for free.
You get a reduced price anyway, you know.
Rob living and we're gonna give him a ride to the courthouse. We ride in a police car.
My hope is that this is not something that the judges are doing just to give to anyone. It's more that if you're in a treatment program, whether it's at a veterans facility, whether it's in sobriety treatment or drug treatment or mental health treatment, that this is a way to get you to go to your appointments, as opposed to you're a common thief and here's your bus pass to come back and get sentenced.
That might have been my first life.
That's some clarity. And what you're saying is the court will tell us who they feel should be eligible for the new pay.
They're the ones who will be issuing them to help those
Court.
clients.
The judges will pass out.
Okay, I have no problem with that. But I thought it was just gonna be, hey,
What allocate them a budget,
Willy-nilly.
that's them, they'll just want to try to get that.
It'll work.
Cycle it in there.
The
the
So how do we
courts
make up the shortfall?
the courts would be buying the passes at whatever level they think they need to pay for them. In
Well,
order
we're going from $3 on a day pass.
Right, they will be discounted.
See, y'all need to think like criminals now.
Right,
Trust
they will
me.
be discounted. but-
Okay, I
You're
like
assuming
this.
they're going
I
to take
like
the bus
this.
to start with.
I like this, it's the way it's, okay.
We were not projecting any revenue declines, Mr. Chris, because the assumption is that people who are getting the passes are not currently riding the
Not
buses
riding
and
the
paying
bus, right.
$3.
I got it.
So we were not anticipating to adjust the budget for this program.
In fact, we may gain a little.
Depends on
A little.
50% or the.
We'll keep an eye on how many passes are sold to the courts.
So if you
Take the
just,
judge's word, if he says he needs these passes, give them to him.
I guess just let us know over the next couple of weeks how you want that to be reflected in the fee schedule that comes to you for adoption.
I'm trying to make a recommendation while we've got everybody here, so maybe behind us. How about we give them the option of day passes at 25 cents or pass at 50% off? And that way, the judges can make a decision about what is the best value for their court. Does that sound like a reasonable proposal?
What say you, Transportation Committee?
That's fine, that's basically our position.
That's your position?
Yes.
I'm the transportation liaison. I get to speak.
Huh?
I get to speak. I'm the liaison of transportation. I think y'all do the monthly thing, at least you get $20. The other way, you only get $7.
Yeah, the 25 cents covers the cost of the printing, basically,
Cost of the print.
not the tickets. So it's a.
We're marking up the tickets that much?
Yeah.
Wow, that's worse than PWC.
Mayor didn't say that.
Inflate gauge.
One thing, Tracy needs a decision on Mr. Howard's recommendation.
25-cent daily pass, half price, monthly pass.
Yep.
So we'll have both options with or without a limit.
We
The
know
problem
which one.
is, that's a no-brainer for somebody that can count. Are you gonna do a day pass for $7.50 a month? Or are you gonna do a monthly pass for $20? You're never gonna do a monthly pass. You can go down and buy 30, 25-cent passes for $7.50. Wouldn't that be logical? That's exactly what they're gonna do. So it's not an either or, they're gonna make the decision for you. If I'm the purchaser.
What, was there any reasoning behind that, Mr. Thompson? Behind that logic?
So we felt like we ought to charge them something. The 25 cents, it was a giveaway.
Well, you're charging about 3 times more.
I
That's
wouldn't be
the,
opposed to 20% for $20 across the board, but that's me.
I mean, the 25 cents is basically free service. We're just trying to avoid paying, for the printing. The other one is reduced service. I mean, you're getting an actual service.
I'll go either way, but I'm just saying.
You're getting transportation.
Okay.
everybody nodded, go ahead.
So we'll include both options in the fee schedule.
Work it out.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of the revenue overview. So if anybody leaves here tonight and has questions, feel free to email me, and we'll put together council responses to those questions on the revenues for any of the funds. And the next thing on our agenda was move to the support services and administrative department overviews. And alphabetically, the budget and evaluation office is up first, so I'm still here. So our total budget for the new year, $437,000. We have 5.1 FTEs. Obviously, the new department and all set up last fiscal year. 2 of the positions that are in this department transferred from the finance department. 3 are additional positions. And .1 is for the administrative support we get from the manager's office. We're responsible for obviously assisting you with the annual operating budget development, and through this fiscal year we administer that budget. We develop the capital funding plan. We prepare the budget ordinance and the capital project ordinances for council to adopt. And when we're not working on the annual budget process, which is basically takes half our year from December through June, we're available. We're going to be working on some cost-effective and efficiency studies with other departments, and we're working right now to develop a work plan for after the budget's adopted through the end of the calendar year. Probably some projects that we're hearing about now, if we're going to do something with fleet maintenance, or if we're going to do something different with purchasing, we'd be available to assist Lisa and her staff in working through that, or as we look at options for fleet maintenance.
Is FTE full-time employees?
Full-time equivalents, yes. Full-time
Why you
equivalent
get
positions.
4-1 out of that, Tracy?
Because we get
King.
10%.
You're going back to King Solomon now. You're going,
You're gonna cut half.
with our program budgeting,
okay.
we try and allocate the cost everywhere. Well, there's Deanna Wolf, who works in the manager's office, provides us with some administrative support.
Okay.
So it's 1/10 of her time that gets charged to us.
It's all split up there.
Thank you.
And then the other thing that we're working on as a portfolio group, and you'll hear this from the other department heads as well, we're working to develop a policy and procedure manual for all of the support departments, basically a user guide for the other departments as to, you know, how to do a budget revision, how to manage your budget. So that's what we're working on, the budget and evaluation department office.
Somewhere, I don't know where the discrepancy came, but that was like 8.5 positions, but I only saw planning, maybe 6.
Are you reading in the manager's office?
I read
Maybe.
budget and evaluation, but I did have a note down there by something about both departments, admin and attorneys. I don't know, are y'all sharing some positions?
The only position that is partially allocated to us is from the manager's office.
Yeah, I had admin, so that's probably that's manager.
Yeah.
But there were 8.5 positions listed, and I only saw 5 or 6.
Well, if you locate that and you want to email it to me, I can, when you figure it out, which department you were asking about. I'll be happy to help.
You figure it out.
Well, I don't know where you're looking in your book.
I'm on in the G section. No. Somewhere between G2 and G. Somewhere between G2 and G8. I don't know when I read that. I mean, I was just a note I had to myself. There was this discrepancy. So I don't know where your position is listed. G7.
A discrepancy between a total somewhere and a total somewhere else?
Well, I see 5.1. How many did she say it was? How many did you say?
5.1.
We have 5.1
in this department.
positions.
Right.
2 of the positions came from the finance department and 3 were additions.
Okay.
I remember there's a note in the manager's office that talks about the increase in positions there. There's an increase of, I think, let's see,
Could have been.
there were 6.5 full-time equivalents that transferred to the department.
3.5 new.
3.5 new positions. Is that maybe
So
what
that
you were
would be
asking
8?
about?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So you had 6.5 that transferred to the CMO, and then you have 3.5 new positions. And I'll talk about that in just a minute.
That's 10.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can recall off the top of my head that may relate
Yep.
to what you're talking about.
Good.
Well, if there are no other questions about the Budget and Evaluation Office, I will turn it over to Ms. McDonald.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. We have 9 full-time employees. We don't have any half employees. We have over this year, some of our highlights. Don't necessarily know this is a good thing, but we have had an increase in litigation. We're increasing the number of cases that we are handling in-house. I did have a handout for you, but I realized just a few moments ago that we may have some information on there that is not a public record. And so I need to verify that before distributing that. But we did have 23 cases that we closed this year. We currently have 18 cases that are open. I'm going to skip down to, because this follows along with our contracted services for $600,000. We did request an increase. We currently have, as I indicated before, we have 18 open cases. 7 of those are use of force cases. We expect that those cases there will be a lot of work that'll need to be done in the next coming budget year. And so our request includes $600,000 for contracted legal services. Last year, we do appreciate, you did approve an assistant city attorney position in the police department. Due to some other budgetary issues in working with the police department, we agreed not to begin recruiting for that position until the first of this year. In addition to the fact that we do have a new police attorney who started in September, we wanted to give him time, or the incumbent, which happens to be a male, we wanted to give him an opportunity to get on board and to understand the workload in the police department as we go forward with that recruitment. We are in the midst of that recruitment and have done the first round of interviews and expect that we'll be conducting a second round within the next 2 weeks. We hope to have that person come aboard this summer, certainly no later than the beginning of the next budget year. We also have an increase in the number of documents we're reviewing. Given the number of attorneys that we have on staff, we do think that we are fully staffed and that it is actually a good thing, which means that our departments are contacting us earlier and having us to become more involved in the process versus contacting us at the end of the process. Our budget also contains $27,000, which is a cost redistribution to PwC, as you know, as a part of the resolution that the council adopted in 2013. Our office did take over as legal counsel to the Public Works Commission. Based on our estimates, we have conservatively provided them about 75 hours of legal advice this year. And so the budget also contains that cost redistribution. I entertain any questions, and certainly if you don't have any tonight, if you would like to send those to us, we will certainly, or send them to Ms. Broyles, we will certainly work to get those answers for you.
Is that $300 an hour? What do we bill PwC?
$50 an hour.
50 an hour.
That's beyond what?
Well, we mark it up 44% though.
We don't mark ours up 44%. That's why it's only 50.
I would just make one note.
Just the clicker?
No, Tracy is holding the clicker.
Karen, would it be correct to say that in many cases the use of force type claims that we're seeing now, are cases that were originated, the action was some time ago, and so I think we would note that the chief has reported to us that use of force in the most recent year has gone down significantly, so we should see a decrease in use of force court cases in the future.
I talked about this last year. Thank you, Ted. I talked about this last year. Actually, in the 2012 through 13 case years, we had about an 18-month span when we had almost 5 of those cases to occur. And so what we're seeing now is the filing of those lawsuits as the statute of limitations begins to near on those cases. And it's also the reason why, and because of that, we expect that we'll be actively litigating some of those cases in the next coming budget year, which is why we have asked for the increase. We also, part of our goal and the reason that we did ask for an additional assistant is, as you know, the chief, and you did agree to that. As you know, the chief is involved in recruiting for the department. As a part of that, those officers do go through basic law enforcement training. So one of our attorneys that is assigned to the department is heavily involved in that. That tends to run in blocks of time, such as 2 to 3 weeks in which they're out of the office. And so the additional assistant that you have allocated for will allow us to also have an assistant who is in the office and still available to those officers on a day-to-day basis. The attorney also, as you saw earlier, also will be able to assist us with some of those use of force cases and thereby allow us to reduce our dependence on outside measures. So while it seems counterintuitive, there is some logic there.
And Ms. McDonald, real quick, no dollar amount, just kind of general observation. Is there a greater workload on your department from citizens requesting information and documents, or is it about the same each year, roughly?
The PI, this year actually, probably for the first time, the PIO is more involved in that process. So we are not the first line, I guess, of response for those. So that has decreased the number of public records requests that we are dealing with. Many of those, they're able to respond without our assistance.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And Tracy, you may help me with this. I'm not sure I'm doing this right. On the line that says litigation. Last year's budget would have been $772,598. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And in fact, that department is asking for a 23.8% increase. Is that right?
In that program, yes. Overall,
Because
across
the
both of
original
programs,
original budget was 500, and then we came back and council approved 200, which is how we get to the 700 and what was the number? I'm sorry.
That's kind of my question. That's my lead-in, really what I'm saying. So this is not a 23% increase. It's actually more like a 50% increase.
overall for the department, it's a 9.8% increase. When you see those lines, that's as you
Not
separate.
the department, but that line, that
That
litigation
program.
line, in fact, represents almost, well, it depends upon whether you, well, in our business, we say 50%, but in retail, you say 100% because it doubles. In other words, if there were $500,000 in that line last year, I know we had a budget revision and we added 200,000.
Litigation does not just include the contracted services. That's a component of that 772,000.
Well, that's a whole other line, yeah.
Yeah. Litigation is the program. That includes personnel costs, it includes supply costs for the people that are working in litigation.
Yeah, but my question is not what it includes. My question is, the increase is not 23%, it is 50%.
From 772,000 to 956,000.
The original budget last year was only about $500,000.
No, sir, that's what I'm saying. The original budget for that program was
Where did we
700.
put the 200,000 that we added to it? What line did that go to?
That would be in the current budget. When we're comparing here, we're going from the original budget that you adopted last year to the budget request for the new year. So the original budget last year was 772,000. Ms. McDonald is speaking specifically about contracted legal services,
Okay.
which are a component of that 772,000.
So
That's
did
not
that
the only
increase to
thing. that's in it.
972,000? Once we added the 200, did that increase to 972,000?
Their current
The
budget.
just a moment, sir, I can tell you the current budget for that paper.
Because you're talking 15, fiscal year 15.
Right, when we in now, and that's what that is, right?
That's the
2014, 15.
That's
original
the
one, that's
original.
what you adopted last year at this time.
Before the
That
amendment.
column that says 14, 15 original budget, that was what you originally adopted. It doesn't include any amendments that you've made during the year this year.
Is that the way it is currently? Or was it 500,000?
I'll have to defer to Ms. Broyles.
Ain't no problem.
I believe
Move on,
the
I'll
original,
figure it out.
I believe the original budget last year for the contracted legal services was $500,000.
But we also allocate, I think what you're asking us, and what Ms. Broyles was trying to explain, as a part of this cost allocation, we also allocate part of the staff's time to the litigation services program.
Yeah, but I'm not asking who you give it to. I'm just saying that there's a greater increase in that line than what you're saying. That's all I'm saying. In other words, you're saying 23%, but actually it's more closer to almost 50%. I'm not saying who you're paying out of it, but where it's going. I'm just saying there's almost in other words, if you go from 500,000 to 956,000, it may not be 50%, but it's certainly in the 40s.
It didn't go from 500,000 to 900,000, that's what we're saying. The original budget, when you're comparing those two numbers, it's the contracted legal services plus the other expenses associated with that program. That total was $772,000.
Last year.
At the original budget, yes, sir.
And if we added 200,000 to it, it'd be 972,000.
Yes, sir.
Which would be greater than what we have, what we're projecting for this year. So it would be a decrease and not an increase. You're showing an increase of 23.8%.
Including
So
the amendment,
either
that's
way,
right.
I'm getting bad information.
I'll try and put together some more detailed information to illustrate that for you, because I think you're stumbling between the original budget and the current budget and what's proposed. I will put together a table that hopefully we can both agree on the numbers.
Right, because our contracted services, we went from 1.3 million last year to 600,000 is what we
Yeah.
projected for the
And
income.
Part of what that is, Karen, if you remember the original plan with me taking over the legal services for PwC, was that the attorney's office would be administering the payments. So what was happening, there was funding included both as a cost redistribution and for the payment of those bills. So basically, let's say they had $600,000 of attorney fees.
So some of this was coming out of the PwC budget, this
There was
$1.3 million?
There was a cost redistribution. Actually, Kelly, if I can see that page, I can tell you exactly what it is.
That's an even worse scenario.
Yep.
That says that this department is getting a greater increase than what they have on paper.
If you look at the budget in total, the 9.8% increase would be a valid comparison to make. Because in that original budget, there was $830,000 that was projected for cost redistributions to the PwC.
830,000.
$830,000. That included $27,000 for a cost redistribution of the services the city staff was providing. And the balance was for projected legal payments from PwC to their contracted attorneys. That is what was anticipated in the original agreement when the city attorney's office was to manage their legal services for them. They did not elect to go in that manner, follow that route, so what they were doing was paying those attorney fees directly.
Okay. So absent of PwC piece in there for litigation on that line of 1.3 million, absent of $830,000, if we were to use last year's budget, it would be $400,000.
There was,
I mean, it's 1.3. If you take 800,000,
yeah, 1.3 included the PwC's 830 and the 500,000 for the city's contracted legal expenses.
473.
No, there's,
Okay, plus the 27.
yes,
That would make 500.
yes.
Okay. But so where you have this, it shows a decrease of 53.9% is actually an increase. And I know, and all of this is coming out that way. This whole legal department. In other words, because of these other pieces, you're showing that it's only having a 9.8% increase. If we really did real numbers, take out the PWC piece, it is greater than 9.8%.
What I'm saying, sir, is that $803,000
Yes, ma'am.
was in there as an expenditure
I understand.
to pay the bills to the attorneys, and it was in there as a credit within the same budget.
Debit and credit balances the account.
So they washed one another out,
I understand that.
okay?
So if we take them all out, just like they were never in there, and then we turn around and make this budget this year, this is a more significant increase than what's being actually projected right here.
I believe it's a 9.8% increase when you
If you
ignore that
use-
PWC piece.
If you use real numbers, just use real numbers and bring your sheet. As a matter of fact, just give me a real sheet with real numbers without PWC.
Sir, if you would like that in more detail to see those cost distributions, if you go
Tell me what
to
page you're on, and I'll
J-
tell you if I've been there.
J29.
I got J31, so you good. You see what I got? Yep, I had the same problem when I come to the bottom. I'm identifying the same problem.
Comparing the 1.54 million to the 1.4 million for the last year's adopted budget.
Yep.
If you look in
I
total.
just did a little calculator here. 1.540731 divided by 1.403583 delivered 1.0977, which
Would round to
rounded
it.
up is 9.8%.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's the method that I guess.
Yeah, but you're not getting my message. It's $800,000 that should not be in here.
So if we pull that out and then do the change, it might be.
But there's an $800,000 expenditure and an $800,000 credit, which in the bottom line have zero impact. They wash one another out within that budget. If you look down to the bottom of that page, J29.
So yeah, I have no problem with that. I understand that. That's simple T account. A debit and a credit.
Yeah, but it's not a revenue and an expenditure. It's an expenditure credit within that budget. So they wash one another out in the total. Their net impact on the total is zero.
So what is the question? How much of an increase for legal from last year to this year? And your contention is how much?
Without the consideration of the public workers.
Without that, yeah,
Yes,
okay.
sir. See, they're showing a 9.2% with the consideration of the public works. $800,000. Without that consideration, what is it? What is the increase?
Did you see on
Because you
the,
see, this line for contracted services would be $500,000 instead of 1.3 million without the consideration of Public Works Commission.
And
So
then-
there's actual increase in that line. There would be a percentage increase in that line where you're showing this 53% decrease.
yeah, that's for that particular object account.
Right.
And then what I'm saying is you see you've got 803,000 up here. You've got a reduction right here. So that you take that away and that away, and you look overall.
That's a balanced account. I understand.
Yeah, that's where the 9.8% increase is coming from.
Y'all keep saying the same thing to me without showing me what the increase is.
So the question that you and I have is in real dollars.
Yes, sir.
What was that budgeted last year? And what-
Real ad valorem tax dollars.
So if we go 9.8% over what was budgeted last year, Ted, what figure do we have? That's the question.
In other words, you would need to, out of this 1.4 million, you need to subtract $800,000.
So the 1.4 million is the $803,000 coming in and the $803,000 being charged back out to PWC. So it has a zero impact in that $1.4 million.
So it'd actually be 2.2, and then you take the 800 away.
Let's move on.
Correct.
I'll pick it up.
So it doesn't materially affect the 1.4.
It washes, it has no impact, yes.
So what was last year's figure?
Okay.
Which one is it?
Here's the total budget.
1.2.
Thing.
One
1.4
point two was
million.
last year, right?
That was FY14 actual.
And now we're-
That was the original budget was
Right.
1.4 million.
Okay.
Our year-end projection is about 1.6, which reflects the increase.
Which is
here.
about 9.8%,
Yes.
right?
Reflects the
What
increase
percent?
here, yep. And then the 1.54 for the coming year. So from year to year is a 9.8% increase.
From here to here.
Yes, original budget to recommended budget.
This was the estimate.
That's the year-end estimate, yes.
Okay. I hear you.
Fredo. Check this out.
We'll spend some more time on this.
Yeah, I'll be
see how we
happy,
can
sir,
present
after
it.
the meeting if you'd like. We can sit together.
Oh, then I have questions.
Okay, the city manager's office.
All right, good evening, Mayor, members of council. Hope everyone is doing well. I'll try to move pretty quickly on this. I see Christoph giving me the motion to move very quickly. Again, as you can see, we have a budget of a little over $2 million. Have 17.9 FTEs. You don't see a 0.1, but here you see a 0.9. First of all, I'd like to provide a little highlights. As you can see here, oversight of the customer call center, and I just wanted to let everyone see in the back here we have Tiffany Grissom, and she is the call center manager. So she's done an incredible job since we shifted the call center from Festival Park Plaza to the PwC campus in December. So I wanted to make sure I gave her a little shout out, and we couldn't do it either without Mark Brown and the team over at PwC. And Mark, of course, is at every single meeting. So if you come to a work session or you come to a council meeting, you always see Mark at the meetings. So again, special thanks to Mark. If you look at the call center, we have two phases. The first phase for the call center is really leveraging that technology. And first part of the phase was the FayWorks and really looking at that tracking technology. And that's really about looking at the calls, the wait time, the abandonment. When we come back to you, probably in July, we're going to start those quarterly reporting to City Council, and it's really going to give you an opportunity to get really an update of how well we're doing with the call center. Phase 2 is really going to be an opportunity for us as a call center to tap into PwC, into their workforce. And that's probably going to happen in the next couple of months. So you're going to have PwC call takers. We're going to, during our peak times, hopefully be able to use their workforce. And then when we get a little bit slower, vice versa, they'll tap into our workforce. Newly formed Office of Internal Audit. So Elizabeth Summerendike is leading that effort. We have a total increase of 10 FTEs. 6.5 of those employees, or 6.5 positions, were transferred from other departments. You have 3.5 new FTEs. Of those 3.5 new FTEs, you have 2 people newly hired into internal audit. 1 FTE is a management analyst that is working for Rebecca. And then we have and I don't see Chris here, and then we have a half-time position. That was a part-time position into the call center. Deployment of the citizen and council-facing performance dashboard. You've probably heard Rebecca talk about it on several occasions. It's this new technology we're very excited about called New Brain. And that New Brain is really a dashboard to report progress out on our strategic plan. It's really about the metrics, the initiatives, the progress that we're making by way of charts and graphs. And it'll provide an analysis to not only management and city council, but also to our citizens. And then finally, policy and procedure manual development that Tracy touched on. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge and let folks know about the great support services portfolio that I oversee. And I'll tell you, they provide the highest level of service delivery, and I really mean that, and customer service. So if you all can please stand and be recognized for a moment. Please, support services portfolio. They provide that, yes, they really do great work, and they should be recognized. And I really want to thank them for all the work that they do day in and day out.
Let me ask you a
Yes,
question.
sir. Any questions? I hope that was,
Customer call oversight with 5 people.
yes.
Where are those people? And this over there?
No, I hope you heard. In December, we shifted those people from
Yeah, they're over there.
over there. They're actually Public Works. They're on the 3rd floor
Okay.
in brand new cubicles. Yes, sir.
Okay, then I know where the audit people are.
The audit people are now on
I still got
the
a trouble. I still got problems with this .1.
.9.
And all of that. How you're splitting duties of people, and so you're counting people in more than one department.
That's all admin, correct.
Right. Okay,
We're not actually cutting people up. I want you to know that.
No, you're not.
Because that
but
would be
you're cutting
really
duties
pretty messy. We're cutting
so
duties.
that I'm working a little bit with the internal audit team, and then I'm working handling the phone for somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So an example would be Deanna
Show
Wolf.
me the 17, the number. I'm trying to add these figures up and come up with 17.9. And I'm not coming up with that.
You have 18 people,
Yes.
and Deanna is providing 4 hours approximately per week to budget in order to assist them with their admin functions. But if you were looking at head count, you'd be looking at 18 people, which is an increase.
They're not all represented.
Huh?
By putting new people into the city manager's office. Head count would probably help you see
Sir, if you're interested to see what are those 18 positions, in the back of the book, there's an in the appendix, is a listing of all the positions assigned per department.
What I'm looking at, I just like things to be simple, because I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer anymore. And when you show me up there 17.9, and I start trying to add them up, and I don't get 17.9.
Yes, you're not going to be able to add to 19 here. This is just explaining the change to the prior year. If you wanted to see all of the 18 positions, there's a listing. There's a listing in the back that has all of the positions assigned to the manager's office.
And I can show you that, sir.
Well, why you didn't show me that on the screen instead of this?
That's a very good point, but I'd like to do that. Can I do that during a
All right,
break?
go ahead.
I'll do that during a
We
break.
can't stay here till midnight.
No, so are there any other questions, sir, about the manager's office
No, it's
FTEs?
not about the budget. I got a call today from Dr. Brown. He said that he normally, the bank normally pays all the bills. He don't look at them, so he don't even open sometimes, but he decided to open his PWC bill today.
Yes, sir.
And he dialed 1-433-1
Yes.
and they probably couldn't answer his question, but they should have been able to refer him to the right source. And he wanted to know, he said he started looking back at his previous bills and wanted to know why his sewer was different every month.
Because it's based on water usage.
I understand that. I know what it is. But whoever answered the phone on the other end
Didn't know.
didn't know.
So I would ask Tiffany, when a question like that comes to the call center, what is the protocol?
If a question about their sewer bill came through, we would most likely refer them to whoever maybe their office.
Would it be a warm transfer where you would call and make sure someone is on the PWC line before it's actually moved over? How does that work?
It would depend on the situation. We do warm transfers internally when we're leaving the actual organization. Most of the time we will get the telephone number out and warm transfer because we're not quite sure how the phone system is set up. But that's what we would usually do. Now, if there were, sometimes we do get questions about construction and things like that with the sewer, with the beginning and experience. And the process for getting over those are a little different.
Mr. Brown, I'll defer to Mark. That's right.
Specific customer that has a
question that didn't get answered, if you let me, give me the contact information, I will answer.
I'll give you his phone number.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mark, that's fine. You're gonna call them now. But when they call in and ask this question,
What's the protocol?
and I still don't have a clear understanding of why they can't get an answer then from somebody. In other words, the call center referral to somebody.
Yeah.
I guess that's what we're talking.
Exactly.
All right, what's
Okay.
next?
We'll work on that. So we want to turn it over to the next slide, because we have 72 more to go. No, just a few more to go. We're going to really move quickly here, sir.
And just to answer the question about the number of FTEs in each department, Section K has that broken out.
Yeah, it's in the back, but somewhere there was some language in that first one.
You enjoy it?
I love it, sir. Good. I don't know, but I'll figure it out.
I'll look at K. Well, my point was K should have been on the board instead of, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor and
Hey,
council members.
Colonel, how you doing, Colonel?
Doing well, sir.
All right, we're gonna beat up on you too a little bit.
That's right. So quick rundown of the numbers. The half employee is our part-time mailroom person. She works a half a day. That's easy.
Okay,
The other
I know who
9,
she is, yeah.
yeah, so 6 of us are over in Festival
exactly
Park.
who she is, right.
The other 2, Gene and John, are over in the print shop. So
Okay.
that's our 9.5 people. And then we have one that hasn't been hired yet, PIO, which Karen referred to earlier. We still have to go out and hire a position for that.
So
that
a
job.
half-day person translates into 0.5.
Yes, sir. That's easy. We got the easy one. I'll give you the highlights of the highlights. Frontline employee newsletter production, something we started. We've had 4 editions done so far. We were recently named back in March as the best newsletter in the state from North Carolina City and County Communicators Organization. So the 4 we've done so far, our next one up is going to be in mid-May. Really designed, if you've not seen that, to communicate with it from the management to the employees and to increase morale among the employees. It's a pretty nice job on the newsletter that we do. So pretty proud of that.
I saw it, I like it.
So that's really what we have for it. The next one down is the website redesign. I've been recently contracted with a company to redo our website to increase how, from a customer service perspective, we communicate with our customers, with the citizens. I just sat through an all-day meeting with our IT folks about a week ago now, talking about what we do for the redesign. Bottom line is it'll be done by the end of the year. We've got a couple of courses of action coming into us in the next few weeks here, probably the next 2 weeks, about the different sites that we're going to do. The company that's doing this has also done one of the top sites in the state, Greenville, North Carolina. They've done hundreds of municipal level sites across the country, so they're very familiar with doing things that we need done. And so during the all-day session that we brainstormed on this site, you're going to see a vast market improvement over where we were and where we're going by the time we're finished. So the front page of it and then all of the back side that will really communicate our message much better to the public. And then the next one down from there, I will go to the second from the bottom, the expanded social media presence and management. What we're looking at doing is figuring out how we better communicate with the public from a social perspective. We're doing pretty well from a Facebook perspective. We've got about 4,000 fans. That's better than some of the cities our side across North Carolina, but we could do better. So we're going to figure out how. Fort Bragg, for instance, right next door has about 25,000 fans, but there's plenty of cities around us that are our size that are half of what we've got. So we're doing okay, but we could do better. So we had an all-day brainstorming session just today, in fact, talking about what we can do to better manage that site, but more importantly, dialogue with our consumers, with our customers, and get some dialogue going, because I think it's a great communication mechanism. Our Twitter site, about 3,000 followers on it, which is pretty good. I think that tool is being used fairly effectively, but we're still trying to figure out what we can do to help with it. So those are our 3 biggest things in a nutshell, and I'm happy to take questions and anything else that's up there as well. Sure.
About a month ago, I got invited to meet with the local Libertarian Party at a little pizza place, and one of the guys said, "Hey, how much does it cost for paid TV setup?" That's all he wanted to know was paid TV setup. I said, "I'll ask next time we'll have an opportunity, maybe down the road." And that was his only question about that.
Okay.
Okay.
We can get you an answer for that, sir. So that's all done internally.
Right.
The channel is provided free, so it's really the cost of the 2 employees which run it. So I think that would probably be the most of that cost.
Oh, okay. Appreciate it.
And PwC participates in the cost of that as well.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. It's
85,000 their contribution.
Colonel, if we go ahead, if we proceed with the bond referendum, How do you target the voters with this campaign here?
We do it in an unbiased way to educate them about what the
I mean,
benefits are.
what's your media outlets there? You're gonna do it on Channel 7? You're gonna do it on what else?
We can do it.
Facebook, you're gonna do it?
Yes, sir, we can do it on all the internal channels we have, and of course share it with the media that we have around here. We can pay for ads in different places, Fayetteville Observer, for example. We haven't come up with a targeted way to do that yet, but we certainly can and will. We've got about 50, yeah, we have around there $50,000 we can use to help do that.
Thank you, sir.
So I think the most important thing is that it's an unbiased approach to what we do. We just want to educate them on what the facts are and let them make the choices.
And I appreciate that because last time we had some problems with, instead of presenting the facts and education, we had staff actually lobbying. But that's not the way it's supposed to work.
Sure, no, it needs to be important with that.
Thank you. Go Red for Women, what's that all about?
That was...
Let Katie Ann say. You and
They
dress
can
up
tell.
their office.
And we don't want to
Yeah,
hand
we're
out,
all
we
the time.
want to anti-bullying campaign against the women, right, Katie? I got it. We got it. You know what it is.
Thank you, Colonel.
All right, sir.
What's your name again?
Kevin Arada.
Kevin.
Arada, A-R-A-T.
Hey, there's Lisa. They told me you were in the back of the room asleep.
Oh, I was
They
awake.
said.
Good evening, council. I guess it's my opportunity to be up to talk about the finance budget. As stated on the slide before you, the budget for finance is about $5.9 million. 3.6 million of that is in the risk fund, and then about 2.3 million of that is located in the general fund. We have 20 positions in the finance department between all of those functions, and we cover everything from financial operating and financial operations and reporting, property and liability, claims, processing. We do house the purchasing contract with PDBC within this budget and the tax collection contract with Cumberland County within the budget. I believe on page G38 you can see how the budget has changed from fiscal year 15, the original budget, to the recommended budget for fiscal year 2016. Some of the details are identified there. In terms of highlights related to our budget or initiatives we'll be working on in the new year, as Tracy has already mentioned, we have some financing in the general fund. We also have some financing associated with some capital projects that are in your capital improvement plan as well. So in total, we plan on coordinating the issuance of about $7 million in installment financings for the new year. That's broken down at $1.9 million for vehicles, about $2.9 million for Fire Station 12, and about $2.2 million for the swimming pool, is how that gets allocated out. Right now, the budget for purchasing is reflected as a contract with PDBC. However, we have been instructed to begin transitioning in terms of a process, identifying how we might transition purchasing from PDBC to the city. So that will be an undertaking that we'll be doing. Part of that will be looking at our peer cities, seeing how they're organized to ensure that we right-size that function for the city and provide the services that council expects in the way of information, as well as entering into contracts and purchase orders for the city. Another initiative that we have reflected in the budget is outsourcing administration of our community development loans. We have about 150 loans through our community development department. Since we are not a bank and that is not a great core service for us, we're proposing to have a financial institution like a bank handle that loan servicing for us. Yes, sir?
So that $3 million interest only for 10 years with a balloon, we wouldn't really loan that to them, they'd go through a financial institution? Or
We would be loaning the money. What we're talking about is servicing. We have a lot of smaller loans to individuals. You know, having them a coupon book, remitting the payments, following up on, you know, past dues, that sort of thing. Doing things that a bank would traditionally do. So that is something that we're proposing to do, and
Do we
it's
have
not
any idea
uncommon.
what that might cost us?
I think we've got about 27,000 in the budget, and that includes about 2,000, 2,500 in startup costs, and 25,000 on a recurring basis. Sir? We're hoping, we're gonna see, we're actually developing an RFP now that will be requesting proposals. Yes, sir. We're gonna do our very best to get that at the most cost-effective manner possible. As Tracy already mentioned, we have prepared for the elimination of privilege license effective July 1, 2015. As you know, that goes away unless the state legislature takes some other action. We're also implementing a time and attendance program across the city that will be something that should result in savings for the city and will certainly improve accountability as we go to an automated time and attendance system citywide.
What are we doing now?
It's manual time cards. If you'll remember, we talked about that. So yes, that would relieve us of a great deal of administrative burden to convert to a time and attendance system. And that's underway now. We are also working with. That's a separate initiative. Are you talking about your pay stub?
Yeah, because I mean, I think you should have an option in paperless.
We're actually working on that now. We converted to electronic W-2s. We're converting to electronic pay stubs as well.
Awesome.
What happens?
Save favor beautiful.
I'm an hourly employee, and I come in, where's my bill?
Well, right now, it's a manual time card, you fill it out, but what's going to...
I fill it out myself.
And your supervisor has to approve it.
Supervisor has to sign it.
Because he knows if you've been there and all that.
Right?
Yes, sir. And that will be converted to an electronic process where someone may... You may punch in, you may sign on in your computer what you arrive at the office. There'll be a couple of methods you can do that.
And Katie called me and said, Bill, I'm gonna be 20 minutes late punching my card.
That would not be good. And just for those very things, we now have an internal audit office who can follow up on such things.
Okay.
20 minutes to Katie Ann's an hour.
It happens.
You caused it. You caused it. Yeah.
We do not live in a perfect world, you're correct.
No, we don't.
So those
when it happens, we slap them hard.
Okay. Another initiative we're working on, we're definitely in the very early stages of this with the support services portfolio, is that as a group we're going to be looking at an enterprise resource system to replace at some point or upgrade at some point the existing system we have now that you may hear us refer to as J.D. Edwards. We implemented that in about late 1994, early 1995. We've done upgrades through the years, but it certainly warrants a review to see what capacities and capabilities are out there and how we can be more efficient and provide better information. So we're looking at that. And that's actually in your capital improvement plan. At some point, if you go back through and refresh your review of that, I think we have that a couple of years out, is where that's planned for. And then finally, as has been mentioned by my other peers in the support services portfolio, we too are looking at refreshing our policies and procedures within the finance department with the intent of making it easier for departments to understand what the rules are and how to interact with the finance department so we can improve our services to our internal customers. So with that, I'll see if you have any questions before I turn it over to my next support portfolio person.
Yeah, I got one question.
Yes, sir.
The $153,000 of repairs to vehicles, are those citywide vehicles or those vehicles in your department?
They're citywide vehicles where you must be referring to something in the risk management budget. That's when we, within finance, within the risk function. What happens is if there's a repair to be made to a vehicle and we are seeking reimbursement from a third party, that gets charged to the risk management budget. So yes, it is citywide vehicles. We don't have any vehicles within our department. All right, well thank you, and I will turn it over to our next person.
Tracy, I see what you were trying to tell me earlier.
So is it 53 or 9?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Jesus took the wheel, huh?
Calculator.
The answer's prayer.
Yep, hallelujah.
Hey, when you're wrong, confess.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. We
Not
done get out of
everybody
here
would do
by
that.
midnight.
Yes, please. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Human Resource Development, the budget is 17.3 million approximately. Of that, 16.1 is risk, which is our healthcare and insurance fund, and the general fund is 1.2.
And 19 whole people, right?
We have an entire 19 people in the department, that's correct. Highlights include the new personnel ordinance update that we expect in the very near future. It's been in process for a while. Our policy and procedure manual, instead of having it at the bottom of the list, it's at the top of the list because this is something very near and dear to our hearts. In human resource development, we'd like to have policies and clear guidance and definition for employees to help them do their jobs well. Wellness initiatives, we've had some assistance from council members. They appreciate getting some of the programs that we can forward on and share with our employees, but we also have some internal wellness initiatives. The last city I worked for, we were actually able to realize some savings in our healthcare through our wellness initiatives, so I see it as a very beneficial program.
Didn't we just have like 200 employees sign up
For our
to
walking
join
program.
walking groups?
200 and...
30, yeah.
And the county's doing it as well?
We
And
had our
now we're
first
talking
meeting
about
today,
having
too.
city-county walking groups and maybe some...
Maybe a little friendly
city-county
competition.
competitions, so...
Pick up trash while you're walking.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So we're excited to partner with Cumberland County on working together on this stuff.
We had our team leader group today, and we have, I think, 10 or 12 people that want to be walking group team leaders. So we're going to be sending out an all-user email, and we're going to have all these walking groups.
So the city employees are walking on sidewalks, the county are in culverts?
County culverts. Oh, there you go.
We have to walk up the streets on the yellow lines.
Yeah.
Another thing that we're looking for is we're hoping to begin a 401k program for non-sworn employees. Our police department already has a mandatory 401k, and we're looking to expand that to our other employees to encourage retirement planning in addition to the defined benefit plan that we have through the state. Our organizational development and training group is looking at new programs. They've done extremely well with the program menu that we've been offering, but we're looking for more leadership and senior management training in order to grow the groups that we have. We'll still continue to support all of the employees and the mid-level supervisors and managers with our programs. We're starting to reach saturation. We've done a lot of training, and now we're looking to expand and provide some additional offerings in response to both the employee survey, focus groups that we've had, and information that we've received from a variety of sources to be responsive to what it takes to make a good workforce. Diversity training is also a very important piece of this from that group. It's in the news, but it's always been important for us, and now we're going to be developing a citywide program in order to make sure that everybody's well informed. And then finally, benefits, cost analysis. We all know that healthcare expenses continue to rise. Research and development is providing us with better ways for quality of life, but those quality of life things are expensive. Between claims and prescriptions, they continue to climb. Our job in HRD is to try and control those costs in a way that we continue to provide our employees with an excellent health care plan at a rate that's affordable for our budgets, it's fiscally responsible, and also is affordable for these employees. Anyone have any questions for me? Yes, sir.
The 1%. Are you the person I should ask, or should I go back to Lisa?
The
401k. The 401k.
The 401k? We'll try and answer.
Are they vested in that from day one when they sign up, or do they have to spend a certain amount of time before they invest?
According to federal ERISA laws, there are only a number of options as far as how vesting happens. You can either have what's called a 3-year cliff, where you must be fully vested within the 3 years, or you can have a 7-year step program where you progressively are vested in it. If the city's contributing the amount to the employee's account, then that portion of it, we would have the option of making it available to them right away or waiting for up to 3 years for it to be available, or doing it on a percentage basis. We haven't determined the exact makeup of that 401k plan at this time. There are a number of questions that'll have to be answered about it.
One of the pieces that we've sort of talked about theoretically is that we wouldn't likely want to vest the city paid portion until after the employee completed their probationary period at a minimum that we need. So that'd be one.
Basically, what, 90 days?
1 year.
No, 1 year is probation.
Okay.
It certainly is. Probation for a year.
Well, the longer you make it, the more incentive you build in for people to stay once they're interested.
Agreed.
You know, with a year's period of time, you're really not building in a lot of incentive for them to be around.
But there is the seed money, and 1% is not. It depends on your income, how big
That's right.
a check that is.
And even then, it may be insignificant to me and you.
But it's significant to others, absolutely.
Right, to someone else,
Right.
it may be significant, a couple $100.
But it's a benefit that almost all of our peers, except one other city that I've noticed in North Carolina, all offer some sort of 401k, either contribution or contribution plus a match portion or a match. But they all fund 401ks for their employees, and it is an incentive in recruitment, and it is an incentive in retention, because people are looking toward their futures and how they're going to be able to manage once they're open up.
The second question was for council members. Do they also get a 1%? Hey, man, I asked worse.
No, but I believe we're doing a salary survey for all of you.
We get paid too much as it is.
You do?
You showed us the list.
I sent you
We're
the
overpaid compared to our peer cities.
No, we are trying to help the rest of them. We're just pack leaders.
Okay.
Any more questions for me?
Just
Yes.
one, in the risk management fund, you know, looking at a little over $16 million.
Correct.
And I'm more concerned that next year, when we lose $3 million, it goes into the general fund. And when you have close to 1,600 employees, is $14 million in a risk management fund?
For our self-funded insurance is
Yeah,
sufficient?
is that sufficient, or are we taking
We
risk?
do have a company that has underwriters that has done the calculation for us. And based on our best estimates on trending over the last several years and trends throughout the country in increases in costs, this does seem to be a reasonable projection for us. I wouldn't say it was an especially risky one or even an especially conservative one. It was pretty much right in the middle of where we wanted to be as far as estimating. Obviously, we can't tell exactly what claims are going to be. We do have insurance for claims that go up very high, but based on the data that we have and the fact that we have a large pool of subscribers, I think that we're pretty confident that the increase that we have in how we're funding this is going to be sufficient.
When we lose that $3 million, we go back down to $14 million.
So the $3 million would be from the fund balance, not from the current revenues.
Oh, okay.
If you look on page D17,
Thank you, Tracy.
the 3 combined risk management funds at the end of FY16 were projected to have $19 million of fund balance. So that $3 million would come from that 19 of their fund balance.
Thank you, Christine.
You're very welcome.
I didn't know which $3 million.
Well, the risk money would be
Okay.
I should have caught that.
pretty adequate.
Yeah, look at it.
Whatever we have with the last
That's what I mean, it's gotta be more.
truck run over.
We're trying to work.
Information technology.
Dwayne, where are you, Dwayne?
Right here, sir.
You hear me, Bill?
Good morning, good afternoon, evening, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council. Good morning. We have 27 whole employees.
Start with 26 points.
No, sir, 27 whole employees. We have a budget of $5.5 million. That's spread across 3 program areas: our policy planning and administration, as well as our business intelligence and our network infrastructure and workplace management. some of the highlights, we have the good fortune of right now being a database administrator for the purposes of the GIS area. That, as you well know, we talked about the GIS arena quite a bit. That particular position will assist with the data layer for a lot of our enterprise-related activities. We also are in partnership with PwC, whereby we have a consolidated license, a GIS Esri license, that we share the cost of about $175,000 a year for that particular license. And that allows us to have a lot more access to the GIS tools, our GIS tools. Our Microsoft
GIS stand?
Geographic Information Systems.
And what do we use that for in the city?
Several different functions. For instance, Faye Fix It. When you take let's say you take a picture of a broken stop sign, that particular location is geocoded, so you know exactly where to go.
Don't work well.
Doesn't work well? What's not working well?
It gives a different location than where you currently are. I mean, it's never on the, I tried that once, and I sent one in, and I got this text back, but they couldn't find the location, that it didn't exist at the location. So I went back to that same location, took another picture, and physically put in the address. And noticed that the address that was there was not the right address. But even though it didn't change on that first screen, apparently the person was still able to find this problem. Somebody got, I don't know what it is.
Okay. Well, what we can do is, if you have some time, maybe over the next 2 or 3 weeks, let me do a couple of
examples. For no questions, because I was in your will to inherit your bow ties.
We also have an email upgrade that is going to allow us to basically move our email system back from PwC. We're going to do some upgrades. They are upgrading their particular email system right now. As you well know, PwC hosts our email system, so that's going to allow us to move that back on this side of the house. So we're looking forward to that particular upgrade. We continue to look for opportunities to outsource where appropriate. We are enhancing our managed service agreement, tier 1 support for our help desk. We're also moving that over to the security side of the house as well. As you well know, security is a very hot topic. Outside of GIS, you probably have in the technology arena, security is probably number 1 or number 2 hot topic. It's very difficult to recruit and retain that level of staff, so we're working with a company to do our periphery type security training, or remediation as well. And like all the other my colleagues in the portfolio, support services portfolio, the policy and procedure manual development, we're also looking at that particular initiative so that we can continue to support not only the internal staff, but also make it easy to do business with the IT and to get enhanced services from us. So we're also looking at policy and procedures manual so that we can encourage some level of self-service as well. And last thing on the list there is that we also manage the information technology plan. We have about 19 initiatives this particular in the FY16, projected in the FY16. I just highlighted a few of them that more than likely resonate with you all, body cameras. We are also moving forward with the FayWorks asset management system. We are bringing on Parks and Rec and Fire. And then the Microsoft Azure cloud strategy. You hear cloud talked about quite a lot. We are working through our EA agreement. We're working our enterprise agreement with Microsoft. We are moving towards a cloud strategy, and actually we're going to use that with our website. So our website will be hosted in the cloud, and the failover will be back here at City Hall. So if our website was hacked, now what's happening is someone doesn't like something that's going on within the city, they will target that particular city to bring down their website. Well, now Microsoft has a lot more resources than we do, so we're moving that. Our website will be hosted in the cloud, and then the failover will be back here, so that as Microsoft resources added to to address that particular issue, our website will still be up because we have our failover back here, like I said. So we're using that particular cloud strategy very quickly. And also, as Kevin mentioned, and with the website, we also have phase 2 and a phase 3 for FY16. We will be
What are you talking about, Faith? You're revising the website.
We're doing it in phases, yes, sir. Phase 1 is happening right now.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And so how many phases will it go through before you're satisfied?
We have projected 3 phases, but we're thinking about, we may be able to collapse based on the vendor that we chose and so forth, and how quickly we were able to move some things
Now, you've
forward.
got a webmaster doing this, or your internal people are doing this?
We have a vendor that we're working with, and we also have internal resources working with Kevin's team from a corporate communication content management perspective. That's combining that.
And the sites he's referring to, sir, are external, so 3, for example, Fayetteville, the police department, the fire department, and Parks and Rec all have sites that are external to us and not hosted by us. So does the FAST system, right? FAST is the same, and airport. And so the intent farther down the road is to pull those in a couple at a time, brand them the same way as ours, so they look and feel the same.
Yeah, that's a great
Under
idea.
our domain, then we've got everything under our control.
So what's your target for that?
Target, well, the end of FY16 is the target. At the end of this calendar year, our target is to have the first phase of the website completed. And then by the end of next year, we will have.
How much money are you setting aside for that?
Total
Out of
is
that budget?
$230,000. That's
just
across
for
2
this-
different,
That's just for this fiscal year,
no sir, that's across the entire project.
right? To get you through all 3 phases?
Yes sir,
You can do it for that?
yes sir,
Very good.
You can do it for that?
yes sir.
Cheaper than ARP.
Okay, man. I heard you say it twice,
You have to say
man.
it twice, we can do it, you're gonna do all.
Come back in and talk about a
3
budget
phases.
amendment to Tracy.
Wait, what did he say? Oh, wait a minute. 7 phases by 2025, and it will cost $1.2 million. I don't know what he's saying.
He didn't say 7 phases, he said 3. Go ahead, man. Thank you.
I will entertain any questions that you may have at this point in time. Hearing none, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Setting high expectations. That's how it stops.
All right.
Well,
All right, the
Mr.
mayor.
McGill,
Last section. Tonight.
I see you don't have any park people either.
Okay, so we saved the best for last. Clerk. We have a collective budget of 1.1 million, and we have 3 full-time employees. That's myself, Jane, our deputy clerk, and Frank, John, our senior admin. Highlights include the clerk's office produces all of the minutes and agendas for all of the meetings. Council for this past year has appointed a total of 53 members to the city's 24 boards and commissions. And also important to note that this programme was automated this past year. And so Jane that runs that programme now, she has a computer software programme to run it. The policy and procedure development manual for our portfolio for the clerk's section is the policy in relation to records management, and that was a programme that out of the Grove Street facility we had a very large reorganisation of the records that are stored out there. The budget includes $235,000 to fund the City Council elections, which will be in November this year, as you all know, and $150,000 to fund costs for the Parks and Recreation on referendum should council decide to take that course of action.
So 150,000 to handle the expenses for the Board of Election if we go forward. And then 50,000 Kevin. And who else is in on that? Is that it? Just 200,000? That's the total, right? Okay.
And Ms. McGill, the city council meals are in that department? Food?
Yes, it is.
Right, in the 235.
$235,000 in food.
That's just for the election.
That's just the election.
235 is just for the election.
15,700 food.
Which includes an electoral celebration.
So this year it spikes up a little bit.
It spikes up in alternate years.
The inauguration.
I think we put in about, what, 3,000 for that? I think it's about 10 or 12,000 for the actual meeting meals, something like that.
Right, I think it was 12,000.
Yeah, 12,000.
I want to make sure that Pam gets enough credit for the Grove Street facility. That's a 10,000 square feet or more facility with metal shelves and, stacked 6 boxes high across all those shelves. It was a big undertaking, and that has records for many, many years, and it's all in great shape now, cataloged, categorized by destruction date and department and all that stuff.
We can now find something that we need.
Oh, yeah.
We can find stuff we need, and then we got some that are on a destruction schedule that are going to the shredder. So big project. That place was a little scary. Now it's very
Some people had
organized.
filed their leftover lunches.
Bologna was under B. Pastrami under B.
Great job, Ms. Pam.
2 years ago, we couldn't find a hat man in the record.
So final slide, next steps. If you have questions.
Yeah, I got a question. I like this, ma'am, but, maybe the question.
Questions for Pam?
I don't know if it was for her or for you or whoever. Y'all know we're gonna ask a question when you got a 565% increase.
Yes.
You expect the question that in. Contracted services.
What page?
Page G62.
G62?
Is that because of the election?
That would be the election and the bond referendum fund
Yeah.
is in contract services. So you have the election every other fiscal
Yeah.
year,
Right.
and then you have the additional 150,000 for the bond referendum.
So that takes it to 477,000.
Yes, sir.
You could eliminate the elections and just
Yeah,
make your service.
If you,
Was that in the form of a motion? Second. May I recognize that? And the other line, citizens representation, 86% increase, what is that?
That would also be, you have the object of expenditure, which is contract services, which is going up. Citizen representation is the program where those costs reside, so that would also be the election and the bond referendum would be the drivers there.
Amazing, you confused
The
We show the
expenses are
expenditure.
categorized in
Take
two
a word
different
for it, I
ways.
mean, she done been right one time tonight.
The expenses are categorized in two different ways. The first listing is by program, and the second listing is by type of expenditure.
you slice and dice it multiple ways.
Are community cafes and that kind of stuff out of this budget as well, or not?
Not out of this budget, no, sir. They're out of my budget.
We just paid for one last year?
One last year, that's correct. In FY15. That
Right.
wasn't included in your original budget on Tuesday,
Okay.
So if you have other questions that come up, I mean, we're here now. You can keep asking questions about this portfolio as long as you wish, but to the extent that we end the meeting and you have more questions, please email them to Tracy Broyles. She will be in charge of distributing those questions to the whole organization, bringing in the answers, and then distributing them back out to the whole council. And then at the as the process works its way, we'll post the budget chronicles to our website so everybody can read them, including our media representatives. Our next work session is next Wednesday, where we will do the 2 remaining portfolios in the same manner that we did tonight. We hope that we won't have a closed session or anything, so we can get started at 5 and also finish maybe even before this time on Wednesday. We have the budget public hearing set already, that you took that action Monday, that's on the 26th. Then the 27th, that following Wednesday, that's the week of Memorial Day, is a remaining date scheduled, and we can use it if you need to use it. We can cancel it if you need to cancel it. And if there's special topics you want to cover, one special topic we already have a request for is stormwater. And so we can either cover that on the 27th, or if you have time on the 26th, on the 20th, maybe we can do that at the end. Just depends on how the meeting goes. We're targeting June 8th for adoption.
Sooner the better.
Mr. Mayor, anything else that we can do for you tonight, please let us know.
Thank you very much. Questions, council?
I think we ought to try to get that stormwater in, talk about that on the 20th. Sooner the better. As soon as we can reach a decision on this thing, the better we are. So time
Question
permits.
on the stormwater, we've been given a list of projects spread out over the years. We know the locations, so what more is there to talk about? We know the costs, estimated costs. I'm just not.
If he told you tonight, there'd be no need for another meeting, so.
Our understanding of the question it was from Councilmember Wright, was to essentially go through that, just do a presentation.
Through the list, the priority list?
I don't think we'll go through every one, but just present the,
Update on the progress today.
show you progress today
And the gap.
and the funding plan, and the map,
Gap.
and the gap, funding gap.
We're gonna have a meeting just for that.
Again,
Well, I think
we'll be
I think the
prepared.
proposal was for
to do it on the
the
20th.
engineering and infrastructure department will be with the community investment department overviews.
They could brief it on the
And then
20th.
they
They
were
could brief
just
it on
add a
the
few
20th at
slides
the
to
end, if
discuss what I
everybody's-
said.
Yeah,
That's
what
it.
we'll do is at the end of the portfolio, then we'll talk about stormwater.
Okay.
Because that is a much better.
Okay.
And those of us that been here a while, we recognize
Well, we've
the
been
problem
briefed on
we
this
have.
stuff before.
Right,
We've
we
seen
got
that.
some
We've seen
questions
project.
about it.
So there
I
shouldn't
think
be a
they're
long discussion.
satisfactory.
All right, motion by Councilmember Hurst to adjourn.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, staff. Thank you, council.
Thank you.
This is what, the best of the regional.
Yeah, regional.
Quite an honor.
Hey,